I ended up breaking this pressure washer, but I was able to fix it with a little bit of engineering and 3D printing. Let's get into the video. So a couple months back, I did a review on this Alien pressure washer right here. And if you want to check out that review, just click on the link above. I really enjoyed using this pressure washer, and as a matter of fact, it's the one I have in my hand right now. I ended up setting the gun down just like this with the nozzle sticking out the top on the ground. And I think a gust of wind came by and blew the gun, and it was not dropped or anything, but it pivoted off of this base point on the concrete and dropped. When that happened, the little tip in the nozzle, and I'll try to leave a picture right above right here, it broke off. So knowing me and what this channel is all about, it's about engineering, using 3D printing and getting in there and solving the problems and solutions and try to work stuff out. So I went ahead and opened up the gun and realized that right at the tip here, and I'll see if I can get this into focus, is where the failure point was. When I opened it up, there was nothing there but a little thin piece of tubing there, and I could understand why something like this would break. This plastic reminds me of back in the day when I was a little kid. We had skateboards, and I think my first skateboard was a Ninja Turtle skateboard. This particular skateboard had trucks made from generally the same type of plastic, and what those trucks would always do is break. I don't care if you were 40 pounds or 100 pounds. As soon as you step on that skateboard, after about 10 or 20 or so minutes, the trucks would break. And it was because of this plastic right here. If I use a product and enjoy that product, I will definitely share it with the community in my YouTube channel. Unfortunately, I had to take the link down because of the issue that I had with the front end breaking so easily. And I didn't really trust the reliability of the item, even though I had used it for a couple of months. So I did reach out to Alienware, and I want to see where it goes, if I'm able to get a replacement, and or how customer service is with Alienware. But I also contacted them to let them know that I will be making modifications and improvements to the gun itself. Maybe they can take some ideas or cues from the changes that I make to this video. But no longer here or there, I just wanted to make some highlights in this video and kind of show you what I did, all the steps that I had to take, and how you can use some of these engineering tips and cues when you're creating your own designs. So let me show you the files first. Okay, I want to show you here, this was actually basically the final piece, and what I like to do is kind of progress as I go, and I can show you some of the adjustments I made. So here we're starting off, and you can see there's a lot of iterations here. I started off with a block and then started resizing it based off my measurements, and eventually I worked my way up to this piece right here. So I did my threading separately, and I'm considering doing a couple courses and videos on how I engineer parts. But just let me know in the comment section. Once this channel is part of the YouTube partner program, I'm thinking about making exclusive members only videos to show how I make these. But right now I just want to show you how the actual piece came about. Here we have the back end here where the hose attaches through here. We also have the threading where the fore end can be threaded to the front. Also, this body supports the majority of the weight. So once this is clamped and screwed down, that gun is ready to go. So guys, let me know what you think about this design file. And if you're a 3D printer, I can offer this file on my website and also in the description below. Let me open up the gun so you can actually see what are some of the problem areas and how I was able to mitigate them in the sprayer gun. Okay, I want to take a quick walk around of the gun first, so to show you. Some of the internal things that I improved was the heat shrink tubing on the inside. None of the wires had heat shrink tubing. Right now you'll see a couple of zip ties here, and the only reason why I have a zip tie is because I'll bring you around here to the top. In my adapter piece, you're going to notice here, and if I can get it in focus, you're going to notice a gap here. Now, the only reason why this gap exists is because in the piece itself, and I will show you one of my other pieces here. In this piece, you will notice that
there is a section right there that is too thick here. And so because it's too thick, it's creating a gap. So in the design file, I'm going to have to thin it down so that way it closes all the way. But otherwise, functionally, the piece works. As you can see here, let me see if I can rest it. Okay, if you look here, this is where the nozzle attaches, and I'll see if I can get it into focus. Now, if you notice with this nozzle here, I could have skipped this threading part and made this entire piece as well too. But I didn't want to make this piece because now my failure points are more complex, because with 3D filament, it has a certain level of durability. So what I would do here, if I just skip the threading, I would just make this piece and then use the attachment at the top. Now, one thing Alienware could do is, especially here, when this gets heavy when you fill it with water, is make a little brace piece so you have some triangular support here. So it would attach here, maybe at that screw point, up to here where the bottle attachment is. And that little brace will make it super sturdy, because this plastic and that plastic is the same. And this plastic is the plastic that broke on me. And I'll show you right here. This is what's left of the original piece. Now, when you look at it, it's made of that same plastic that's on the forend, okay? So this is the plastic, and basically, I don't know what type of plastic this is, but it's the same exact plastic here.
Okay, so everything on the table is what I really wanted to talk about here. So basically, we've got different iterations of the adapter that I designed. Also, we have the Ryobi gun attachment for the first pressure washer that I owned. This is not portable. It requires a tank. Here is also the Alienware pressure washer gun, and I've got it opened up so you can kind of see where the issue was in this gun and how I was able to mitigate it. And also we have the nozzle end and the nozzle end attachment, and as you can see right here, this is the 3D printed part that I designed, and it's where it broke off, and I'm going to talk about that shortly. But let's focus on the gun first to discuss the problem. So I'm going to break down first the main areas of the gun, the way that I understand it from, my basic understanding. Here we have the battery attachment. Now, before, there was no heat shrink tubing. I made sure I added that both on the positive and on the negative side down here. And I'll see if I can bring it into the camera so you can see here. There was no heat shrink tubing here before, and I think for a gun such as this, there needs to be some kind of heat shrink tubing just in case some of the seals may fail and something get wet behind here. But I understand it's a cost-saving measure. In actuality, this red lead right here, when I opened it up, it was barely hanging on for dear life. And one thing that happens to the solder is when it heats up, it will sometimes loosen up the wires depending on how much you use it. So you have your trigger here, and with the trigger there's like a little spring and a plastic piece that goes right here. You have your motor attachment here attached to the water pump, and this main housing, and I'm not sure about the technical terms here, was fine. The issue was the extended part where the nozzle attached to. When it dropped, and when I say dropped, I didn't drop it from waist height. It really was on the ground and it was tipped. So it didn't even fall maybe 8 to 10 inches because it was already on the ground, and bumped the front part and basically broke. And I understand plastics have a temperature sensitivity. So it was not a cold day. It was not a warm day. It was even temperature day. So this is the main issue here. So there was no way for me to really repair this part. So I had to engineer a piece to extend here. Let me show you what that piece looks like. Okay, so here are the first and third iterations of the design that I made. I also have a second iteration that I excluded and I explained. So basically this piece is designed. You just take this, set it right here, and then slide it in. Let's see if I can get it in pretty easy. Okay, yeah, and that was the issue with the first one. Let me bring you in. So with this piece, you can see here, this gap wasn't big enough, so I had to make that adjustment, and I'll put my third iteration in so you can see actually how it fits. Okay, you slide it on like that, and it slides right in. Now, what this piece is supposed to do is mitigate the weak point, because there's really no support in this area, and which is why the piece broke in the first place. So I stuck this here, and then I also added a copper piece of tubing. So let me show you my third iteration with the copper tubing. Now this is it right here. Let me see if I can get it into focus. Now, one thing I noticed when I added this copper tubing, and you have your O-ring right here, which came off the original gun, this made it so that the pressure was more consistent and more powerful. I don't know why. Maybe in the comment section you can tell me why adding this copper piping made it more of a strong stream, and also made the circulation of the water much improved. I might be the firmness, I'm not sure why, but let me know in the comments if you know why adding this pipe actually helped it. But the main reason why I added this was so that it would be stronger, and it did work. So let me bring this into play. This is the original threading from the original gun, and I based my model off of this one, and as you can see, it broke off the original gun. Now I'm going to slide it on here so you can kind of see how the 3D printed piece that I make works. So I had to incorporate this threading into my third design, and let me show you what that looks like. Okay, so this is my third piece on the 3D printer. I modeled this in Blender, and as you can see, I added those threadings there right here, and it also has a space for the O-ring to attach to. Now let me show you how this actually works. Okay, so here you can see it's basically like the piece I showed before, except right here is where you can see the space for the O-ring and the threading. Let me go ahead and add that real quick. Slide this over here, and that's how the piece fits. Now, if I could get this piece made in, and I do have a resin printer that I want to try this out on, metal, Inconel, or if I cast this with a silicone mold, I will get a stronger part. The whole piece is printed at 100% infill, and I have no failure down here. The point of failure that I have is right here at the tip, and I'll show you an example. So here on this piece right here, when I screw the nozzle on, and I'll show you real quick, that it will last about 3 or 4 times, but that 5th time you take it off and on, it seems to fail at this point. Now I'll focus it right here and show you. This is the piece that actually broke off. So some of my thoughts were to go ahead and extend this and design the whole piece up, but then I'll have some of the same issues up here. So I also thought about this idea where you add the threads. Let me see if I can find one. Okay, yeah. So where you add the threads here, and it will key inside of this side, so that way if the thread fails, I don't have to 3D print this whole piece again. But I've had some different ideas, even down to skipping the nozzle altogether and maybe putting a metal front end. Just let me know in the comment section if you guys have any recommendations. Okay, so if you saw in the previous clip before, the main objective was to strengthen the point of failure. So here I realized that initial plastic piece broke because it didn't have any support. So what this piece does is, let me take it off again. It was just a basically skinny black piece that only supported by this ring. So what this does is add that extra support. You push it in, then you set it down, and it's designed to fit perfectly. And I'll bring it in so you can see it. It fits right in there. So all the sizing is there. I just use my calipers to get the right sizing, and then I also wanted to extend this so that way you have support here, here, so you have several points of contact, and I wanted this to be as tight as possible to be strong this way as well too, and it works out pretty good. So yeah, that part is how that part works. So I'll take this part off and show you the orange part, the one that failed, which is this piece right here. The threads failed, the part itself did not. And one thing I want to mention, even at 100% infill, it was not manifold. And when I say that, that means watertight or airtight. So you'll see if I can demonstrate it what happens with the new part. But basically you just spray it and some of the water would leak out. Now this would happen because this copper piece is not all the way back here. It stops about maybe to right here at this part of the adapter. So what I want to do is really mitigate this plastic piece altogether somehow, maybe drill and open this hole up more and just stick a copper piece right all the way through, and it will be plenty strong. So another thing that worries me about this particular gun is this section right here. It houses a 2-liter bottle adapter here, which is a lot of weight to put on this section, and I feel as if the point of failure where it was weak here is generally about the same here. So I'm considering making some sort of brace or support that wraps around the gun, and as I make modifications, I'll update you to the mods that I make to this spray gun. Okay, now I want to bring in the Ryobi gun to the plug-in pressure washer, and I want to mention that I'm not as worried about this being damaged or broken till it can't function, because its inner parts are metal all the way from here all the way up to the front of the gun. Now what I was thinking is to mitigate having to use this all together is to somehow get this piece attached to this copper pipe. Now if I can get these front ends where they attach to like the regular nozzles you put in here, I will just go with that, because it will alleviate the worry about the threads breaking off on the adapter piece that I designed. So it was just a thought that came up, and I'll talk more about why I know companies are trying to save money and also make the gun lighter, but I believe this plastic should not be plastic at all. There has to be at least a copper lining such as this all the way through the plastic pipe if you're going to cheap out, or if you're going to actually try to have cost-saving measures. You got to have some kind of metal on this thing. I wanted to bring you in closer to actually show you the actual damage that happened here. Now in the gun itself, you can see right here that this tube was longer and attached, and I'll try to leave a picture up here, right here, but it was so damaged that I even had to cut this notch out because of how it was blown out and broken. Now I added a pin integral inside of here to try to support what had been broken off of the original piece, and like I said, the only thing when I started cutting stuff down was left was the very tip of this part right here, which is all that was left there. So that was the main issue. So I tried to strengthen it up. I even used duct tape in between where it's supported here, and it still broke a third time. So that is where I decided to use 3D printing and a little engineering to make this part, and I've got a piece that is pretty much good to go. I just got to find some way to either add threads to the tip, maybe weld something here, maybe pipe thread or weld something here, then add some threads, and so that way this plastic piece doesn't break off when I'm trying to use the gun. But let me go ahead and show you how I actually prep this piece for attachment in the gun. Okay, so here's the newly 3D printed piece with the O-ring on it. Okay, so you can add the O-ring last, but basically you're gonna pre-cut you a piece of pipe. Now this is the pre-cut piece of pipe that I actually have. Okay, this pre-cut piping is actually about 2 inches, the length that I cut. The pipe is 1/4 inch, 2 inches LH. Now once you cut your piece of pipe, and I won't show that on camera, you basically just gonna get it in there, and you want to get it started. Now I basically measured this to make sure that pipe fits, and then you're gonna get it started tapping like this, can tap all the way through if you like.
Nice little pressure fit right there. And that's pretty much all you need to do to add your piping. And the only reason why I left this bit of gap here is because that's that little nub that I got that's left on the gun. I haven't drilled it out or added some other solution to that. But if you have solutions to how I can extend that, let me know in the comments section. All right, let's go ahead and get this thing and I'll show you how it attaches to the gun.
Okay, so here's the new front end. So I'm gonna bring it around the gun. So this is what it looks like when it's open. This is a piece I added. And I'm gonna go ahead and put the whole gun together and then we're gonna do a test spray. Okay, so this is what it looks like. You got your trigger assembly here. With the spring, it presses this button. This is where it gets power from the 48-volt battery into the motor, into your little pump chamber. Here you can attach water, your water supply. And here's where the spout comes out and the added piece for structural support and new threading. So that way I can attach this piece. I'm not going to screw it in. I'm just going to zip tie it together. And I'll explain why I'm zip tying it for now for a couple of reasons. Okay, so a couple of reasons why I'm actually zip tying this instead of screwing it down. And I'll show you here. I've got one of my bottle cap boys here holding the screws for this guy. If you haven't seen that short, definitely check it out. The main reason why, and I don't know if you can tell based off of in the camera, see if I get into focus. Yeah, so this screw is pretty much stripped, and what I intend to do is go ahead and put brand new screws all the way around. Also, I didn't want to screw it down as well because I have a gap here, and that's only because I have to adjust one of my diameters for one of the rings in my piece. So this is not the final iteration, but once I finish it into completion, I will leave a link for this adapter. If you have this gun, it will fit this particular gun. Okay, so let's get the front end on it and then I'll show you what it looks like with the front end. I just wanted to show you how it threads on. So the threads do work. I had to measure the threads, and I don't know if you take any engineering or anything like that, but there's a way to get the thread pitch and everything just right. And with this design, you don't want to over tighten it because, like I said, there's a weak point in the thin part where the threads are. But this is it, fully assembled. And I'm going to show you a better picture with the bottle on and attached and everything filled up. And we're going to give it a spray. Okay, so this is the gun right here, repaired, fully assembled. You can see it with the 3D printed attachment right here. This is the part that I was talking about. And so if anywhere see this video, this is the attachment where it was a lot of weight here. So I feel like a brace could be put between here and the bottle attachment. That would make it more sturdy. But I'll just give a roundabout so you can see really how much that improves the once broken gun. Now it's fixed, as you can see here with the new attachment. And let's spray it and see what it does. There it is. See if we can. So I'm just going to spray this section and bring you in a little closer. All right, see if we can get a section that needs to be sprayed, and we're gonna spray. Now, one thing I noticed is the pressure has increased here, so I think that little piece of pipe really improved it. So I'm gonna go 15. Bring it down here by the little socket here where I'm spraying. Now, as you can see, the front end is going to leak a little bit, only because I haven't mitigated that part I showed you, that little nub that meets up with the piece here. So I might add a little more modification here, so that way it's sealed in the chamber. spray gun works. And I want to show you something that wasn't happening before. Look at the bottle down here. Now, notice that before it wouldn't suck up all the water, but guess what? Watch what happens now. Go ahead and turn that hose around. Watch the bottle. Now look at that. So I think that copper piece improved. Now I'll bring the camera up. I think the copper piece improved the performance inside of the newly designed adapter here. So once I added that copper piece, it made it much more rigid. And then also it seems like the pressure is a lot better and the gun shoots a lot more smoothly. So let me bring it in and then I'll discuss my final thoughts and how Alienware can improve on their portable sprayer. So this video I wanted to make, it serves two purposes. And actually, one, that you can engineer something or create something to actually fix parts or fix things that's very important that you use on a daily basis. And also I want to talk about some improvements that can be made when companies cut corners. Now, the Alienware company is no different from several companies that do this. It's called keeping structural engineering while mitigating costs. And sometimes they have to cut corners either to save on weight or to make the product cheaper for us to use on the end user. So there are a couple of things that I improved. For one, I ended up improving the actual trigger itself, and I'll go ahead and take this battery out so I'm not spraying water all over the place. But I went ahead and opened it up, and the trigger assembly, and I'll try to have a video playing somewhere, has a short track. And so what I believe is there's like a little holder for the spring. Maybe they could extend that to make sure that it's easier for that trigger to stay in line with the spring. Now, most people are not going to open this gun up, so I will say that that's optional. On the front end, I believe that the actual nozzle itself, or the extension that screws this part on, this is the part that I had to re-engineer and fix, should have more point of contacts of support. I didn't throw the gun down. I didn't kick it. It was a gust of wind that basically just blew it to the ground. It was already resting on the ground. And that 10 or so inches shouldn't have cracked anything in this sprayer. But it did. I don't think that part should solely all be made of plastic, or this particular plastic. I do not know what type of plastic this is made of. And I'll see if in the product description they tell you what type of plastic this is. But this plastic, in my history of knowing this type of plastic, and you know what it is when you feel it, has always broken. One improvement that I made was to take this copper piping, and this is 1/4-inch copper piping, and then line it integrally with this part that I designed and 3D printed. And I'll see if I can get it into focus in the camera. Okay, and if you look in there, there is the copper piping, and I'll see if I can get it into focus. All right, so right there, you can see the lining is now copper, and this copper makes it very sturdy. It goes all the way back inside where the support is, about right back here. And so I think that improved the sturdiness of the gun. Now, another thing that I think could be a point of failure, and this is solely going out to Alienware, is this is a lot of weight to be supporting this appendage right here. So I'm going to create some kind of brace to go between this fore end and the bottle adapter piece. And so that way there's like 2 or 3 points of contact that will keep this much more sturdy. Okay, so these are some of the improvements I was able to make to the actual Alienware sprayer gun. And once again, once I get more information on what Alienware wants to do, I will let you know if they send me a replacement. And I really enjoyed this pressure washer gun, and I really don't feel like buying another one. It's just that at the front end, it was a failure point there, and also there was no metal pieces on the inside. So I don't know if Alienware is going to come out with a version 2 or iteration of this, but we'll see if they reach out. Also, I am not going to put a product out where I don't trust the reliability of it. I love the design, I love the lightweightness of it, and I also love the price to entry. But I feel like those couple changes won't increase the price of this particular gun too much, but it will also increase the reliability of this gun. So what I would like to do is to say, if you have purchased this gun after reviewing this video, let me know in the comment section below what is your results and reliability of the gun and how do you feel about it. Also, if you've purchased this gun before you've seen this video, let me know if you've had any issues with the AlienWorld Pressure Washer. Now, from a functional standpoint, I've never had issues with it. It's just that one point where it tipped, the wind blew it, and cracked the front end. But I knew that that was a design flaw because, and not so much the design itself, but the material choice. Because I've seen this plastic before, like I said. Those old skateboards, they used to use the same ABS plastic, and as soon as you get on it, it would just crack. So I was familiar with that. If you would like to support the channel and try and order the piece, just check the link in the description below. Also, there will be an update video if Alienware reaches out to me for a replacement. And if I get the replacement, I will consider bringing the link back up. But just keep in mind, those particular areas of the gun are things to watch out for if you buy this Alienware pressure washer. So guys, I really appreciate you tuning in, and like I said, if I can, I'll leave the files available for the repair section of this AlienWorld Pressure Washer gun. And if you would like to support the channel, just subscribe to the channel, hit a like on the YouTube channel, and also there are support links in the description below. Guys, I will be coming out with more videos. I have a couple of ideas to add to this pressure washer gun to make it pretty cool. All right, guys, see you on the next video. Thank you for tuning in. Take care.